Okay, so we're talking about the preterite and the imperfect. Remember that in Spanish, there's two ways to talk about the past, preterite and imperfect, and you have to decide which one is which. So just a brief refresher, conjugations again. For AR verbs in their preterite, we have a, aste, o, amos, aron, and yo and la usted have accents. For ER and IR verbs, we have iste, io, imos, istes, ieron, and the yo and the la usted have accents. For the imperfect, we have old McDonald's imperfect forms, ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ion, all of which have accents. And in these forms, we have some ARs, aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban, and the nosotros has an accent. So make sure that you memorize all of these very well. So now we have to decide when to use each form, and this part is definitely the tricky part. Sometimes it's easier to know when to use the preterite because there are a lot of reasons why to use the imperfect, and really there's basically one reason to use the preterite, and that's because it's a completed action. It's something that we know happened. We know that it's over. For example, fui a la tienda. I went to the store. I know that it's over. I know that it happened. If there's something that happens between a specific period, so I did this one thing for an hour, or I did this for a week, because it's a specific period and I know that it's over, I'm going to use the preterite. For the imperfect, there are a few reasons. So we have habitual actions, or in English, anytime that you want to say, I used to do something, or somebody used to do something. For example, iba a la tienda mucho cuando era joven. I used to go to the store a lot when I was younger. So habitual action, things that happened a lot, are always going to be the imperfect. Anytime that you want to say was doing something or were doing something in the past tense, it's going to be the imperfect. For example, iba a la tienda cuando me caí. I was going to the store when I fell. When I fell is in the preterite because it's a completed action. We know that it happened. Was or were ing. I was going to the store. We were going to the store. Anytime you want to say that, it's going to be the imperfect. And then the other way that you need to know to use the imperfect is Walt MEP. So you need to memorize this Walt MEP and you need to memorize what it stands for. So for Walt MEP, the W is going to be weather. So when you're talking about how the weather was in the past, it's kind of background information. So it's going to be the imperfect. For example, hacía calor. It was hot. We don't know exactly when it started being hot or when it stopped being hot, so it's not a completed action. It's something that was happening. It was hot. Weather. Age. Yo tenía 10 años. I was 10 years old. Even though I was only 10 for that specific year, age is just always imperfect in the past, no matter what. So we have weather, age. The L is for location. Estábamos en la escuela. We don't know when we started being at school or when we stopped being at school. We just know that we were at school. Location is going to be the imperfect. So weather, age, location, and then we have time. Eran las dos de la tarde. It was 2 in the afternoon. Even though it's only 2 in the afternoon for a specific amount of time, it's still going to be imperfect always. You just have to memorize that. So weather, age, location, time are always going to be the imperfect. Or to describe somebody mentally, mi maestra era muy inteligente. So I'm describing somebody mentally. My teacher was very smart. It's not a completed action because we don't know when she started being smart or if she stopped being smart. We just know that she was smart. So descriptions in the past are almost always the imperfect. So to describe somebody mentally, emotionally, estaba feliz. She was happy. I don't know when she started being happy or when she stopped being happy. I just know she was happy. So emotions and then physical descriptions. Era alta. She was tall. So to describe somebody mentally, emotionally, or physically is always going to be in the imperfect because we don't know when something started or when something stopped. We just know it's a description in the past. So weather, age, location, time, or to describe somebody mentally, emotionally, or physically. Make sure that you memorize this Walt MEP. Okay, so generally, you're going to use both preterite and imperfect when you're telling a story, because you normally have things that are background information that kind of set up the story, and then you have things that happened that are completed actions. So, continuing the story that I was telling last time, eran las 10 de la noche, it was 10 o'clock at night. Mi hermana y yo veíamos una película. My sister and I were watching a movie. Estábamos solas en la casa. We were alone at the house. Llovía. It was raining. This is all background information. I don't know when any of this started or when any of this stopped. I just know that it was happening. Background information, so we use the imperfect. Then, suddenly, we heard a noise. This is a completed action. We know that it happened and we know that it's done. So, de repente, we're going to use the preterite of oír. De repente, oímos un ruido. We heard a noise. Done. Completed action. So, we called the police. To call is llamar. We're going to use the preterite because it's a completed action. Llamamos a la policía. So generally, you're going to have the imperfect to set up the background information of your story, and then you're going to have the preterite once a completed action actually happens. Oftentimes, you will have both of them in the same sentence. So you kind of want to think of the imperfect as this background information, things that were happening. We don't know when it started or when it stopped. And then the preterite comes along and cuts it. So this is the imperfect, things that were happening in the background. And then all of a sudden, the preterite is a completed action. So, for example, it was hot when I got to school. So, it was hot. I don't know when it started or stopped. This is just background information setting up the story. So, I'm going to use the imperfect. So, hacía calor when I got to school. When I got to school is a completed action. It's over and done with. So, I'm going to use the preterite. Hacía calor cuando llegué a la escuela. So, imperfect, background information, it was hot. Preterite, completed action, I arrived at school. Okay, I was eating mac and cheese when my mom called. This is a very frequent occurrence. I was eating mac and cheese. I don't know when I started eating it or when I stopped eating it. I just know that it was happening. So, yo comía mac and cheese. Or we could also say macaroni con queso cuando mi mamá me llamó. I was eating mac and cheese, background information, when completed action, my mom called me. So sometimes when you're trying to think of the preterite and the imperfect, you're thinking of the imperfect as kind of a movie. So this is showing all the things that were happening in the movie. And then the preterite is like a picture. It's a snapshot of something that's a completed action that's done. All right. Thank you.